Excellencies, distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, my topic is on cultural diplomacy and institutional trust, with stress on empowering women's leadership and higher education to strengthen democracy in a multipolar world. Several topics to juggle, but I'll try my best within the time limit. So it's to say it's an honor to join you here in Westminster for this important gathering of leaders, thinkers, and practitioners of diplomacy. I would like to thank the organizers, Mark, Institute of Cultural Diplomacy, Tazmina, for convening this timely discussion and for recognizing that the most enduring tools of statecraft are not those forged in steel, but those cultivated in culture, education, and dialogue. We meet at a moment in history when the foundations of democracy are being tested across continents. Trust in public institutions is eroding, civic engagement is declining, and the digital age has amplified polarization at a speed our societies are struggling to comprehend. Simultaneously, we are witnessing profound economic transitions, large-scale migration, social fragmentation, and the rise of new geopolitical centers of gravity. We are no longer in a unipolar or bipolar world. We inhabit a multipolar world characterized by complexity, contingency, and competition. It is within this shifting global landscape that cultural diplomacy emerges not as a luxury, but as a necessity. Democracies depend on trust the way bodies depend on oxygen. When trust diminishes, the social contract suffocates. Citizens feel unheard, unrepresented, and disillusioned. Conspiracy replaces community, cynicism replaces participation. One of the great lessons of recent years, from public health crisis to economic shocks, is that institutions cannot operate effectively if the public they are built to serve does not believe in them. When societies fragment, misinformation thrives, and governance becomes reactive rather than strategic. This is not merely a governmental challenge, it is a cultural one. Rebuilding trust requires more than policy reforms. It demands dialogue, representation, inclusivity, and cultural empathy. It requires platforms that allow communities, especially marginalized groups, as was mentioned in one of the presentations, to see themselves in the decisions being made. Often misunderstood as soft or symbolic, cultural diplomacy is in fact structural. It strengthens the very fabric of democratic life by encouraging mutual understanding across ideological lines, promoting the values of pluralism and tolerance, cultivating civic identity beyond partisanship, and humanizing the other, both domestically and internationally. A culture does something traditional diplomacy cannot. It reaches hearts, not only minds. Where policy may divide, culture unites. Where rhetoric may harden positions, culture softens them. Today, films, literature, music, sports, and academic exchange programs create more bridges between societies than many official treaties. They are the living architecture of peace. As for empowering women's leadership, underrepresented voices weaken democracy. Throughout history, societies that fail to empower women deprive themselves of half their talent, creativity, intelligence, and potential. Women's leadership is not merely a symbol of progress. It is a strategic asset to security and development. Consider the evidence. Peace agreements negotiated with women's participation are 35% more likely to last at least 15 years. Companies with gender-diverse leadership outperform financially. And female parliamentarians overwhelmingly champion social development, education, and public health. Yes, globally, women hold only a fraction of parliamentary seats and executive positions. Cultural diplomacy can accelerate change by challenging gender stereotypes across borders, creating transnational mentorship networks, supporting women's capacity building initiatives, and amplifying role models in public narratives. Women understand conflict not only as military confrontation, but as societal rupture. They recognize that true security is measured not by weapons, but by access to education, healthcare, justice, and opportunity. In many conflict zones, women are already negotiating ceasefires, mediating disputes, and rebuilding communities. Yet their work goes unrecognized. Cultural diplomacy must change this narrative. It must celebrate and amplify women peacemakers, entrepreneurs, scientists, and cultural innovators. Representation is not a matter of fairness alone. It is a strategic necessity. As a former Minister of Education and Higher Education, and as a university professor as well as a former university president, I have witnessed the transformative power of universities. Higher education builds society's immune systems against misinformation, radicalization, and manipulation. Universities produce critical thinkers, international citizens who question rather than blindly accept. They provide a safe environment for dialogue between conflicting perspectives. They train diplomats, engineers, innovators, and social leaders. In fragile states, higher education is the backbone of resilience. It prepares young generations to rebuild where old systems have failed. It protects national identity without succumbing to nationalism. And through academic diplomacy, universities offer neutral spaces for international cooperation, even when politics falters. Exchange programs, joint research centers, and international curricula quietly weave a web of trust across borders. If we seek to restore confidence in democratic institutions, we must teach critical media literacy to resist disinformation, promote civic education to deepen engagement, elevate cultural heritage to strengthen collective identity, and celebrate diversity as a democratic asset rather than a liability. Trust grows when citizens feel seen and culture sees them. A multipolar world demands new diplomatic tools. We cannot rely solely on traditional state-to-state channels. Rivalries are complex, ideological, technological, and cultural. Cultural diplomacy can prevent narratives from becoming weapons, counter disinformation without censorship, and build relationships between societies, not just governments. Great powers compete, cultures connect. Moreover, as artificial intelligence evolves and digital ecosystems accelerate, the war for hearts and minds will increasingly occur in virtual spaces. Cultural diplomacy will be key to building ethical frameworks for these spaces, frameworks that protect autonomy, dignity, and identity. So what's the role of parliaments? Parliaments are not only legislative bodies, they are cultural mirrors. They reflect who we are and who we aspire to be. Parliamentary diplomacy, supported by academic research and cultural initiatives, can pioneer innovative frameworks for conflict prevention, social inclusion, digital rights, and youth leadership. The forum sits at the intersection of all of these priorities. So, ladies and gentlemen, democracy is not inherited. It is cultivated. It is a cultural achievement renewed daily through dialogue, participation, and empathy. Let us ensure that cultural diplomacy is not relegated to ceremonial functions, but recognized as democratic infrastructure. Let us empower women not through rhetoric, but through representation. Let us elevate higher education as a global commons. Let us teach our children not only how to compete, but how to coexist. The challenges we face are complex, but so is our capacity for collaboration. In conclusion, as we stand here in Westminster, a symbolic home of parliamentary tradition, let us commit to a diplomacy that speaks not only to governments, but to societies. Let us build global citizenship through culture. Let us strengthen democracy through dialogue. Let us empower leaders through education. And let us create security through inclusion. This is the future cultural diplomacy can shape. Thank you.